ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। रामो राजमणिः सदा विजयते रामं रमेशं भजे। रामेणाभिहता निशाचरचमू रामाय तस्मै नमः। रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरं रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। रामे चित्तलयः सदा भवतु मे भो राम मामुद्धर। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। Hari Om everyone. Welcome to the first day of our Bal Vihar and also to this reflection session that we have for adults, teachers and sevaks. So my pranams to all of you. I know many of you here are teaching Bal Vihar, some of you are parents, and some of you have been associated with the mission for a long time, and some of you might be starting new. So my pranams to all of you. So on this auspicious day, we invoke the grace and blessings of Lord Ganesha so that may our study be fruitful and also may this Bal Vihar year accomplish its purpose effortlessly. There have been many things that we have seen through the last 6 months or so. May Bhagwan's grace be always there on us so that we can move forward and even in these challenging times, make sure that we continue our study, continue giving ourselves positive thoughts. So I will chant one stotram called as Ganesha Stava. It's a 3 shloka only, and each line I will say once and you can repeat wherever you are. Ajam nirvikalpam nirakaramekam Ajam nirvikalpam nirakaramekam Niranandamanandamadvaitapurnam Niranandamanandamadvaitapurnam Param nirgunam nirvishesham niriham Param nirgunam nirvishesham niriham Parabrahma rupam Ganesham bhajema Parabrahma rupam Ganesham bhajema Gunatitamanam chidanandarupam Gunatitamanam chidanandarupam Chidabhasakam sarvagamyanagammyam Chidabhasakam sarvagamyanagammyam Munidhyeyamakasharupam paresham Munidhyeyamakasharupam paresham Parabrahma rupam Ganesham bhajema Parabrahma rupam गणेशं भजेम जगत्कारणं कारणज्ञानरूपम् जगत्कारणं कारणज्ञानरूपम् सुरादिं सुखादिं गुणेशं गणेशं सुरादिं सुखादिं गुणेशं गणेशं जगद्व्यापिनं विश्ववन्द्यं सुरेशं जगद्व्यापिनं विश्ववन्द्यं सुरेशं परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेम परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेम परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेम। बोलिए श्री गणेश भगवान की जय, श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। Parabrahma Rupam Ganesham Bhajema. We bow down again and again to Lord Ganesha, seeking his blessings. Now in Balvihars over here, it's a very good opportunity that we have to reflect on these Shastras, reflect on various texts, along with the children getting trained in Balvihar. So this format Gurudev envisioned very beautifully that if values have to seep in, the entire family needs to be exposed to the teachings of this Shastra. So we are very lucky to have this opportunity to reflect, and the text we have chosen to reflect is called Sadhana Panchakam. This text personally is very dear to me because when I started listening to Gurudev's talks on MP3s, the first talk that I listened to was Sadhana Panchakam. And I remember Gurudev's voice with which he used to chant each and every verse, and how impactful the teachings of this text were to me. So I feel very grateful that we are getting to reflect on this particular text as the first text for this series, this Balvihar year. Now somebody might say, Sadhana Panchakam, this is the 5th time I'm listening to Sadhana Panchakam now. Panchakam of my listening. Because this is a text which is mostly begun in the first stages of study of Vedanta. So why again we have to study this text? Some people might have this question. But it is said the teaching of Vedanta, or the truth in particular, can be thought about in many ways. Bahuda chintyamanaha. So the same word, every time we study, something else will come out of it. That is the whole purpose that we are studying it again. And, just we will try to reflect on several different aspects along with the conventional meaning which is there, the paramparagata meaning which is there of each and every word of this Sadhana Panchakam. Sadhana Panchakam is a text, as you all know, written by Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya ji. And the beauty of this text is he gives certain advice. It is not an injunction. So Sanskrit grammar is a little helpful here. There is something called as lot lakara and something called as vidiling lakara. Lot lakara means what? It's an instruction. You should do this. Vidiling means this ought to be done. So all the injunctions or all the advice Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji is sharing here is not something that he is forcing us to do, but he's saying this is the path that we have followed. Whenever we look at Mahatmas, we wonder sometimes, how are they able to stay so, unperturbed in so much of things going around them. They say, we will tell you the path that we followed. If one would like to follow, then these are the instructions. Okay. Vidiling is the lakara. It means this ought to be done, or this can be done. So that is the beauty of this Sadhana Panchakam. None of it is like an injunction. And sometimes what happens is we study Vedanta, and the complaint you call, or the question most seekers have, most of us have, is I have studied Vedanta, but it seems like this knowledge is not seeping in. I'm not able to own up this knowledge as much. So when that question is there, the direct answer to that is we should start doing some sadhanas. Sadhanas are not directly to gain knowledge, but they will help me in tuning my personality such that I'm able to receive this knowledge and also hold this knowledge. So that is the beauty of doing sadhanas and how it links with our main goal of studying Vedanta. And this text can be studied either in the beginning of Vedanta. So if you study it in the beginning, it will tell us how can I align things in my day, in my routine, such that I can easily study Vedanta. The other way to study this text is, having studied everything, you can go back and again study Sadhana Panchakam and say, what can I do now so that this knowledge is continuously available to me? Okay, so those are the two different ways in which we can study Sadhana Panchakam. One is before, if somebody is beginning the text, then also it's helpful. Somebody who is advanced sadhaka, done a lot of shravanam, this text will still remind of those adjustments. It is said, Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji was ready to wind up his physical manifest form. And right when he was about to leave, devotees, his students, they got this, indication that Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji now is planning to wind back his physical form. So they went up to him and said, Bhagwan, we have studied this knowledge now. You give us some very clear instructions with which we can live our life and keep this knowledge very much alive. So it is said at that time, Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji gives this 40 steps. Okay. So although it is said Panchakam, so there's a small trick there, you must have studied Sadhana Chatushtaya. They say there are 4-fold qualifications, and the third one, they include 6 of them. So here also it is said Sadhana Panchakam, but each verse, Panchakam means there are 5 verses, and each verse has got 8 different sadhanas. Okay, so total it adds up to 40 sadhanas. Now we will see who is the one who will benefit the most from this text. There is a spectrum of evolution in our thinking. Okay, spectrum of evolution in our thinking. There is a stage when we feel, oh, what is this spirituality and all? It's not good for me. I'm happy with what I'm doing. Unnecessarily, go to class, attend some satsang. All of that is not for me. Then comes some evolution. Sometimes we just come to satsang, hear something. Then the seeker starts feeling, oh, there is some value to what they're saying. He's not convinced yet, but he does not outrightly reject it. He says, okay, there is some kind of value there. Then the next step is, he gets convinced about, this is for me. First it was some knowledge, somebody is speaking, somebody is attending satsang. Next step he goes and says, or he understands, that this knowledge is going to directly help me. This stage of evolution is called stage when a person becomes a sadhaka. First stage was, oh, this is some knowledge. Second stage was, it is there, it is good, but it is, I have some merit to that, but I give some merit to that, but I don't think that it is for me. This third stage is very interesting, where a sadhaka starts feeling now, I need to benefit from this knowledge, and that sadhaka is putting a lot of effort to study Vedanta, improve upon oneself, that is when a text like Sadhana Panchakam will speak directly to that person. The last stage, of course, is once a person has gained this knowledge and abided in that knowledge. After that, this text is not very much relevant to that seeker. Mahatmas who are there, who are abiding in their own self, for them, Sadhana Panchakam has already served its purpose. For somebody who is completely ignorant, it has no purpose. It has purpose, but that person doesn't see any value there. But there is this in-between group, which is always trying to own up this knowledge. For that group, Sadhana Panchakam is very helpful. The more effort we put into sadhana, and the result of sadhana is purification of mind, more easy it will be to benefit from this knowledge. When we study Vedanta, it will be like, very seamless. It will be effortless to actually see the results of this knowledge in our own life. The term used in Vedanta is called Nirvasana Bodha. Vasanas means our own impressions, which as though bind us. They are there as part of our personality, and they don't allow me to do what I want to do. Spiritual life is of course there, but even in our day-to-day life, I have certain ideals. I feel this is what I have to do in a day you call, or over a period of time. These are my ideal things that I want to achieve. But my vasanas will be such that they will not allow me to accomplish those things. So sadhana will help in that regard. It will release us from this bondage of our own vasanas. And the knowledge that comes to such a person is the sweetest form of knowledge. It has found its right adhikari. Adhikari means the person who is qualified. So once this mind has been purified, that knowledge manifests over there. And many times we realize, there are some sharp edges in our personality, because of which it is as though obstructing our progress in spiritual path, or even in the interactions with the world outside. All sadhanas that we do will help us recognize those sharp edges, sharp corners, and make sure that we can take care of them and live a happy life. Now somebody says, you gave such a nice picture, knowledge, everything. I'm not interested in any of those. I'm a simple householder. I'm living my life. You only started saying all these things, that knowledge should be there and so many other things. Is this text still relevant to me? Should I, now in Zoom, it's very easy. You can just leave or you can just log off. Unlike in a class where you have to sit through the entire 45 minutes or 1 hour. So online format, that's one of the things seekers have. So this text is still relevant to somebody who wants to just have a beautiful mind. Somebody who wants to live a life of minimum conflict with family, with teams that you're working in, or just in larger community. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji sometimes gives very unconventional sadhanas. What are conventional sadhanas? Conventional sadhanas you would be familiar with is do japa, do puja. All those are conventional sadhanas. They are, important sadhanas. But in this text, you will find Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji giving very unconventional sadhanas. For example, one of it he says, Natu vrutha vakyam samucharyatam. In simple words, it means don't speak anything without thinking. Okay, Natu vrutha vakyam samucharyatam. Don't speak anything without thinking. Now you see how relevant it is even in our day-to-day life. How many problems we end up in just because we said something that we did not intend on saying. Or we might have said something in some mindset, some mind frame, which later on we regret so much. Oh my God, why did I say that? I should not have said that. So such sadhanas are also mentioned in Sadhana Panchakam. Very practical, very relevant ones. So if you are just coming for the first time, go through the text, just see wherever, things that will appeal to you. And having looked at the traditional or the actual meaning of the word, wherever possible, we will look at other meanings also. Okay. Now the word sadhana is very interesting. There was a documentary which was made on the life of these great singers, Carnatic singers from the South Indian tradition, and also Hindustani classical singers. It was called Swara Sadhana. So see, sadhana word is not only for in spiritual aspect. Sadhana is also used in other fields like music, arts. And what it showed was that documentary, it went through the life of all this, great musicians like Pandit Jasraj ji, Bhimsen Joshi ji. It showed what all struggles that they went through and how did they reach at the point that they are today. Recently, I was reading one interview of Pandit Jasraj ji, where somebody said he used to practice for almost 13 hours a day sometimes. But what is attractive to a normal, audience is just their end goal. Where they are right now, that is what looks very attractive. But it is said we cannot emulate their personality at that level. What we have to emulate is the sadhana. What is the sadhana that made them what they are today? What is the practice that made them what they are today? Okay, so this is another thing about sadhana. Even for Mahatmas, it is said, great Mahatmas who are there, we cannot emulate the expression of their knowledge. The way they walk, the way they talk, the way they dress, all those things cannot be only emulated at that level. What we have to emulate is what took them to that point. All the sadhanas that they have done, that is what we have to emulate. Gurudev used to give an example. He said Pandit Ravi Shankar ji is sitting with his, sitar, and he gives a beautiful concert. And after that concert, I go and say, Pandit ji, you are such a great musician and you have this sitar. Give this sitar to me. I also have this body. Let me start playing this sitar. I'm also a person, you are also a person. Let us both start playing a sitar. That won't work. Why? Because I cannot just emulate the way Pandit ji holds the sitar, the way he dresses, the way he, holds whatever other gestures during the concert. So that is why emulation of sadhana is more important, which will lead us towards where they are. Okay, that is why Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji says, this is the path we followed. So if you want to reach where we have reached, you also follow these paths. Okay. So that is about sadhana. That word sadhana, it's a very pervasive word that is used in several places. Now, there are 3 words which are important when it comes to sadhana panchakam or understanding this concept of sadhana. Okay, so we'll do, I hope you can see on the screen here. There is one thing called as sadhaka. Okay, the person who is going to achieve something. The thing that he wants to achieve is called sadhya. Okay, first is sadhaka. Thing that he wants to achieve is called sadhya. And the process of achieving it, that is called as sadhana. Okay, one is sadhaka, another is sadhya, and process of achieving is called sadhana. Now the sadhaka will also have an instrument with which he is going to do the sadhana. Okay, so let's take the same example. Let us say I want to become a musician, a good musician. So what all things do I need? One is I need to be there, a person. I need an instrument that I will be using. And I actually need to do that practice. And finally, I will reach my goal of being a good musician. Now you see, in spiritual path or in sadhana panchakam, what are these three things? One is the sadhaka, okay, person who is going to do this sadhana. Second is sadhya. What is sadhya over here? Sadhya, or the goal, is a pure mind, a beautiful mind. And the instrument with which I'm going to achieve this or do this sadhana is my own body, mind, and intellect. So with these three things, I'm going to do this sadhana and achieve purity of mind. So this is a point we should remember. Purpose of sadhana is not to become Brahman. Purpose of sadhana is not to create consciousness or do something magical so that consciousness becomes available to us. Purpose of sadhana is to purify the mind and later on do Shravanam. Okay, Shravanam means study Vedanta. Or even that pure mind is able to transact in the world with less conflicts. But important thing is all three should come together. So if I just know that I want to be a good musician and I have all my instruments, but I'm not ready to put forth the effort, okay, then also I won't be able to reach the goal. If I don't have a goal itself, okay, I'm just here and I'm ready to put forth effort, then what will happen? I'll be lost. Okay, so I'll be going somewhere, doing some random practices. I won't reach where I have to reach because I don't know where I have to reach. Okay. And what is the third possibility? I have a great goal. I'm ready to put forth effort, but my instrument is not working. Okay. Then also I cannot achieve what I have to achieve. So all three things have to align together. That is why taking care of the body, in Ramayana, Bhagavan says, sadhana dhama mochakara dwara. Means the greatest purpose of having a physical body is to use it in doing sadhanas. Okay. So I should have all my, faculties very well trained. And I should have this desire to bring about some change in my life. To realize the fact that I myself am not able to achieve things which I have set for myself. Something needs to happen in between. Once I have realized, I'll be able to work towards that. And that is this process of sadhana. Merely knowing that is also not enough. I need to put forth effort and make sure I walk this path. Okay, then all three will align. That is when I will see the result, which is purity of mind. So that was about what are the instruments that have to align, for sadhana. Now we will look at what is the main goal of sadhana. We are studying sadhana panchakam, right? But it should have what is this purity of mind? What is the exact or the deeper meaning of the word purity of mind? Simply put, the result of sadhana is inner unfoldment without ego. Inner unfoldment without ego. That is the main result of sadhana. Now, what does the word inner unfoldment mean? Situations come to all of us. There can be different situations that we have to face in our own lives. But the way we handle those situations depends on inner unfoldment. What is my bigger perspective of life? What is my understanding of myself? All those things will add up into how I handle situations, how I respond to situations. Those aspects are called inner unfoldment, or the things that help us respond in a better way. Those things are called inner unfoldments. Now, it is not some kind of repetitive thinking or some random procedure. It's a systematic flow of thought. It's a systematic development of our personality, such that this mind has got new anchors to hold on to now. Previously, when the same situations came, it didn't have anything to hold on. It was just swept away. But now with these sadhanas, with more ideas from scriptures, mind has got new anchors to hold on to. So that is why that inner unfoldment without ego, it will happen. And it will also help us transact in a much positive way. And life is not always about somehow or the other managing through situations. Vedanta has so much power, it will also help us become positive contributors to society. Sometimes we think, when we talk about situations, handling situations, it means somehow or the other I will manage through it. If I don't break down, it is good. That is the first step. But Vedanta says we can aim for higher also. You look at the life of all saints. All of them not only went through situations, but they became role models for other people to look up to them. And role model need not always be a great social leader, somebody who is very well known in the society. Even in our own families, we have people looking up to us. If it's a father, mother, unconsciously, subconsciously, the child looks up to both of them. And, any value that we have learned has never come from a book. It has always come from observing somebody. So you see the power of sadhana. Once we equip ourselves with this knowledge, Vedanta says don't stop there. The next step is recognize the power of this personality of such a person. They are able to, the word positive vibes, that also is capable, that person is capable of spreading that around. There was a book that I had seen. It said, no man is an island. Means, we cannot live our life independent of everybody else. Even in a family also, you must have seen, if everybody says, I want to live only in my room, we are living in a house, but we just want to be in our own rooms. That's not a very, preferred situation. The ideal way is if everybody can get along well, but not expecting the other person to understand us. Most of the times we like this goal, but our complaint is, that, this and this person, they are not listening to me, or they are not thinking the way I am thinking. Person who is very thorough in sadhana will become that glue. That person will become the anchor with which the entire family can be bound together and or to talk about bigger, goals. You see in the life of any saint, or even if you see history, any change that has come about has always started with an individual. It was never that society changed and then suddenly people changed. It took one Swami Vivekananda to say that I have to awaken people to their own divinity. One Swami Chinmayananda to come out and give Gita lectures. That inspiration is what we seek from sadhana. And you must have noticed, even presence of such people is very uplifting. You don't have to talk too much. When we go to Mahatmas, you just be in their presence, you will realize, your mind is getting uplifted. A new strength comes in. That is the power of their sadhana, that the power of doing all these spiritual practices. Now the next, what are we discussing right now? Purpose of sadhana. Okay, first purpose was inner unfoldment without ego. So if ego comes in, the whole purpose of sadhana is defeated. That is why, it is said, we should not, if we are doing any spiritual practices, we should not tell about it to people a lot. Because what happens with that is, the purpose gets defeated. Purpose was to reduce the ego. Now this person has got ego about that sadhana itself. That's why, advice is given. Unless Guru asks, one should not tell a lot about what sadhanas that person is doing. So that was the first, purpose of sadhana. Second purpose is integration of our inner personality. Now, what do we mean by integration of inner personality? Sometimes we have one thought, but the way we express it is something different. And the action following that expression is also completely different. Means thought is one, word is in another direction, and action is in another direction. This is called disintegrated personality. One thought, some word, and some action. Integrated personality is when my thought, word, and action can be very much streamlined. They are in one flow of thought. There is no inner tug of war. Tug of war begins inside when these three things are not aligned. My convictions are somewhere, I say something different, and I do something completely different. So sadhana will help us align those three things. The three aspects which I just mentioned, those three will be aligned. I will think one thing, I will develop conviction in that with which only I will say something. And with that word, I will make sure if I give a word to somebody, my actions will be according to that. Okay, that is the second purpose of doing sadhana. And another integration that we need to bring about is between our mind and intellect. This Gurudev elaborately discusses in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, where he says the main purpose of, thinking low about ourselves or getting frustrated is this separation or dichotomy. I have one ideals in my life, but what my mind wants to do is completely different. It says, you might have something, I want to do something else now. So that disintegration which is there, that will give me a lot of sorrow. In other words, expression of this dichotomy, if you want to say, it is procrastination. Intellect has great goals. I have this project, I have to finish this, I have to do this, everything. But mind says, that is your goal. I have something else, let me watch this now. Okay, so this split which is there, those things, or the integration between mind and intellect, that will be accomplished by sadhanas. In sadhana, mind gets trained very systematically that if you listen to the intellect, you will be happy. Those who do fasting as sadhana, right? What are we training there? We are training the mind that you found happiness only in food. Now let us get trained, even without food, you can be happy. And showing it alternate ways of, alternate sources of being happy. So that is the purpose of sadhana. Okay, it will help me live up to my own ideals. Okay. All right. Now there are some different types of sadhanas. What are these types? The first type of sadhana is assigning a specific place and assigning a specific time for it. Examples are japa or doing puja. Okay, or the first sadhana which is mentioned here, Vedo Nityam Adhiyatam. Chant the Vedas every day. Now this you cannot do while you are at work. You cannot be chanting Veda Suktam, Purusha Suktam while you are doing your work. So these sadhanas are meant to be performed at a specific place, specific time. And if you see Gurudev's letters that he writes in the initial stages of Gurudev interacting with sadhakas, people in 1950s, 1960s, his main emphasis is on do your sadhana. He will give different methods according to the sadhaka. Somebody he will tell about japa sadhana. Somebody he will initiate meaning give them suggestion about meditation. Different sadhanas, specific time, specific place. We cannot ignore the importance of that. Having done that, the next type of sadhana is divinizing our daily routine, whatever we might be doing. That also is a sadhana. And Sadhana Panchakam will talk about all this. Why are we discussing all these points? Because Sadhana Panchakam talks about that. So divinizing my daily routine and seeing the unseen hand of Bhagwan in each and every situation. No matter what situation comes in my life, my first question is, what is Bhagwan trying to teach me here? Okay, that is the first question the sadhaka starts asking. What is Bhagwan trying to teach me here? I remember during we are almost out of time. I'll pause at this anecdote. During our course in Sandipani, one brahmacharini fell ill, and she had this dengue fever. So she was taken to the hospital, and all the staff at Sandipani, they took care of her. They could go at some time, and she stayed there for almost 4 or 5 days, recovered, and she came back. When she came back, everybody was, inquiring about her health. And whenever somebody used to ask her, what happened there? What was your experience in that hospital? You know what she used to say? I saw Bhagwan in the form of that doctor who came and treated me. I saw Bhagwan in the form of that nurse who came and treated me. I saw Bhagwan in the form of all the patients who were there. And I saw Bhagwan in the form of all the students who were inquiring about me. This is called divinizing our day-to-day experiences. Same situation, if somebody had to go there, what would be the thought? Oh my God, why do I need to be here? I was so good. Why did this happen to me? And all those things. But person who has a different insight, done some sadhana, that person will think in this way. What am I to learn from this situation? And what is, how is Bhagwan expressing through each and every person over here? Okay, so this is something about types of sadhana. There is one more point which is also important. We will see it in the next class. A very important aspect of sadhana is self-introspection. Okay, what is that? How does it help us, and how to do that sadhana? We will see in the next class. So the format of this session is going to be, we will have satsang for 45 minutes. And the remaining 15 minutes, we will have it as Q&A. Today being the first class, we will have some announcements. But from the next Saturday class and next Sunday class, those last 15 minutes, we will use it for Q&A. Okay, so we'll conclude here. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.